Hi, this is David with Fairbairn Inspection Services, and we're here in Maple Ridge, and we're about to start a new home construction inspection. So I'll show you what's included and what we're going to do. I like to look out for small cosmetic deficiencies like the split board right here. This would be an easy repair, and of course you can see it from the street. Here we're looking at a downspout that it just terminates and drives water onto the shingles. I prefer to have these extended so that the water carries down to the gutter below. This will prolong the life of the shingles and prevent roof damage. We are at the side of the house and we're looking at some guardrails. Part of the inspection is we want to make sure that everything is safe in terms of are the guardrails secure, and we're also looking out for anywhere that you have a drop over 2 feet where someone might fall and injure themselves. Another thing we find a lot of is missing window well covers. If you have a window well in your basement, we want to make sure it's covered so that nobody can fall in and become trapped. But the window well cover has to be removable so that if there's a fire or an emergency, somebody can escape through the window well. Here we can see a roof vent in the attic that has caused a small crater in the insulation below it. This is due to air pressure differences. On the right hand side we see a soffit baffle, and this is basically a foam tray that allows air to pass over the insulation. You can see how much insulation is in this attic. It's quite high. If we didn't have these soffit baffles, the bottom edge of the roof would be blocked and no air would be able to enter the attic. So here we are in the ensuite bathroom, and we're testing all the plumbing. So we're filling up the sinks as well as a bathtub which has a jacuzzi on it. I like to test sinks by filling them completely and running them through the overflow lines and then draining them and making sure they don't leak. Especially with new construction, they may not have been fully tested prior to the walkthrough. Another thing we're going to want to check for is that the sinks are properly mounted to the underside of the counter. That means having a supporting strap or a bracket to ensure that the sink doesn't fall. Here we are using a thermal imaging camera to check the walls, ceilings, and the floors of the building for any moisture or missing insulation. Here we can see the framing of the wall outlined in blue stripes. This will allow us to check for a number of things. We can also use thermal imaging to detect if there are any electrical overheating issues or any plumbing leaks. Here at the main upstairs bathroom we have a door that sticks in the frame when we try to open it. You can hear the squeaking. I like to use a laser level to check the walls and the ceilings and the floors, see if they're plumb and level. Sometimes an out-of-square door can be the cause. At any rate, this should be covered by the builder. So here we are doing our kitchen inspection. Now because it's a new construction, we don't have any appliances installed yet. We can check the connections and make sure that they're present, such as maybe an ice maker line for the fridge or a gas hookup for the stove. We're also going to be testing our carburetor, make sure the carburetor works fine, and it's important to check our range hoods above the stove. We want to make sure they're connected properly and they're actually venting all the cooking grease and smoke outside of the home and that they're well sealed. Here we are in the furnace room, and there's a lot going on in this room, but I'll show you what it does. Basically we have our hot water tank behind me here. This is an electric hot water tank, and we're just looking for really obvious installation defects, such as for instance this relief tube here. We want to make sure this is present. This is what would actually jettison the water and steam out if the tank were to overheat. So basic safety, things like that. We're also looking for earthquake straps on the tank. Those are required in some areas. We've got around the corner here, we've got our main water shutoff valve. So this is how we can shut off all the water to the property. I always like to point that out to the buyers. You know, this is where you can shut off all your hot and cold water. We also have a sprinkler system in this house, so our fire sprinkler shutoff is located here as well. Now on this side, we've got our furnace. This is a high efficiency, I believe it's a Lennox furnace. They've done a couple things here that I'll show you how they've set it up. Basically, it's a high efficiency furnace for the heating, but they've also left some refrigerant lines installed here so that if the owner wants to add a heat pump or an air conditioner, these are already installed. All you have to do is put a coil above the furnace and install your condensing unit outside in the backyard. So these are all ready to go. This is very common for new construction. What I like to do is check the filter really carefully inside the furnace. Make sure that it's not plugged with construction dust. After the drywallers are here, there's a lot of dust in the air. We want to make sure that it's clean and it's not plugged, and the furnace is going to have a healthy life. Over here we've got a makeup air. So this is our combustion air for our furnace room. We've got a gas burning appliance, so we actually have to bring in fresh air from outside so the furnace can use it to burn the gas. The other thing we're looking at is, if we come over here, we've got our valve set for our gas. So we have, they're all labeled actually in this house. We've got furnace, we've got fireplace, range. So everything's here. I like to show the customer where this is, how they can shut off the gas in case of an emergency. And there's also a main shut-off at the gas meter outside. So here we are in the garage, and what we always want to do with any overhead garage door is we want to test it out to make sure it's safe. Now this garage door, it's got an opener just up here, and there's a remote control, and there's also a button on the wall that raises and lowers the door. And you'll notice at the bottom you have sensors. So if somebody were to go underneath the door or drive underneath the door while it was closing, it would auto-reverse and then back up. I like to test it two ways. I like to test the sensors, and then I like to test the actual resistance of the door. So if we bypass the sensors, give it a bit of resistance and see if it reverses as well. And that I consider a double safe door. Here's a tip for you. If you're getting a new construction inspection done, bring along a roll of green painter's tape. And if you find any drywall blemishes, nail pops, defects, cracks, missing paint, anything like that, just put the green tape up on the wall. And that way the builder can find it later when they send their repair workers in to fix any problems.